Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I do have a question for you all because this is what I experience around the house a lot. Am I the only one whose wife thinks that I have superhuman hearing and can hear through walls? My wife tries to carry on a conversation with me from across the house, and I'm always like I'll be in the middle watching a game or something, and she carries on a conversation like I'm supposed to be able to hear her on the other side of the house. I have to mute the TV, and then she'll say something. I'm like, well, hey, why don't you come down here and talk to me? It's like, God. Okay. I'm sure I can't be the only one. I can hear like Superman in her book, I guess. Okay. So today in the group, in this video in the group, we're going to talk about the potential for an XRP supply shock and what everybody's, the markets, and what I think's coming, what other people think's coming. If you want to join, you can go to daixrp.com to join through the Patreon, or you can go right here and click the join button at the bottom of all my YouTube videos. It's less than the cost of a cup of coffee. Go check it out. Now, there's one thing that I can't tell you how many times that I have had people talk to me about this. A lot of people that either are in crypto or would like to be in crypto have never and will never be comfortable with using a Ledger Nano S or a hard wallet, keeping up with their keys and all that stuff. I don't think that's where this industry ends. I think there will always be some people that prefer that, and that's fine. But I think that the big money people and a lot of older people, not necessarily older people, but a lot of people just in general, I think where this story ends is people keeping it just like they do where they keep their stocks, and it's held in custody by the big boys. And I think that's how this industry gets real adoption. And this is one of the many reasons that I partnered with Caleb and Brown, because you get institutional custody with insurance. And I think that's why this sorry, I keep doing that. That's why this is going to appeal to so many people, in my opinion. Listen to what this lady from Caleb and Brown says.
We had a gentleman reach out because he has a hardware wallet, but he wasn't familiar with how to use it. He was concerned because the assets that he had held on the wallet, he was concerned about how to access those. So we managed to get him signed up, taught him how to use it, and made sure that, when he was trading, he was doing it safely through us, and he was able to store his assets securely.
And I mean, trust me, I know, because I've had to help my dad keep track of that kind of stuff, and I'm the one that has to do it. And it's nothing against Ledger or anybody. That serves a purpose. There's a lot of people that are only ever going to be comfortable keeping theirs on a hard wallet, and that's fine. But not for me, and not for a lot of people out there. So I've made this nice and easy. I partnered with Caleb and Brown. I made it nice and easy. I created a domain which forwards you to my page here on Caleb and Brown so that you can click the sign up button. What you do is you go to xrpwealth589.com. I tried to create one that you would all remember. Everybody knows all those words. xrpwealth589.com, and it'll forward you to my page on Caleb and Brown. There you have it. Check it out. The Bitcoin Las Vegas guys are promoting away. Remember, Bitcoin Las Vegas is going to be for 3 days in Vegas, and then the next 2 days is XRP Las Vegas. Bitcoin Las Vegas is at the Venetian. XRP Las Vegas is at the MGM Grand. You're going to want to go check it out. If you've never been to a Bitcoin conference, you're going to want to check that one out too. But here, just as a reminder, this is from last year. Snaky, who is he's a big part of the XRP community. He has these cool cameras that he takes to XRP Las Vegas. It's on like a pole, and you'll see it in this video. This was a partial view of the line at XRP Las Vegas. There are other videos out there where you can see where that line just winds around. This year is going to be bigger by large magnitude. But this is what last year's line was, part of it.
XRP! Hey, bro. XRP to the moon! We're going to the moon, guys! We're going!
I think you get the picture. Okay, moving along, the markets are still boring at $2.07 XRP, just kind of sitting there. The financial system about to collapse. I contend that this reset that we are currently going through, I believe that crypto was created for this moment. The crypto hedge.
I mean, you can do a lot of research, but at the end of the day, in practice, one just prays that the system holds together. And if you're shaking the tree enough, and clearly we've had a lot of shakes in the last few weeks, and Mr. Trump is shaking the system furiously as we speak right now, we don't really know how it's going to hold up. Now, we hope that the system works, but effectively a lot of these measures that the Fed is announcing or has announced are kind of sticking plaster on the cracks. And we just hope it works, but it's not necessarily guaranteed. It didn't work, for example, in the case of SVB, managed to default even though these things still existed. So although you could say in theory SVB had complete access to the discount window, they didn't use it. So, accidents happen. And what you really need is a system which acknowledges the fact that in a debt-driven world, you need liquidity. All this thing about the sort of hair shirt philosophy that the Fed has to say, well, okay, look, the balance sheet's so bloated now, we've got to go back to what it was in, 2007, or we've got to go back to what it was, 5 years ago, or we've got to do it relative to GDP, is madness. I mean, let's just accept the fact that we're in a debt-driven world. Debt is a bad thing, we know, but we've got to accept we're here. You've got to have liquidity sufficient to roll the debt over, and that liquidity provision is really in the gift of the Fed, and there's no way around that. They've got to go back to some QT arrangement. Now, I know that they won't call it QE. They'll be the acronym department of the Fed would be working overnight to think of something else like QS or quantitative support or whatever they call it. But it's got to come. Balance sheet's got to expand again.
Okay, this right here illustrates it all, folks. This right here, I saw this going around today. 1 ounce of gold now is $3,334. That's a stack of cash like that. In 1933, 1 ounce of gold was $20.67. You see what happens when you're in a fiat system where they hit the printer relentlessly for decades and decades. XRP has outperformed ETH for the 6 straight months. Coinpedia, look at this. I'll go and show you this. Look at this right here. Market cap of ETH's 191 million. XRP's 120. You get an XRP mega surge like we had earlier this year of 5 times, and you're going to see XRP pass Ethereum. It's been foretold, folks. I think the die is cast on this one. And then we got this. These are Bitcoiners, of course, but they're talking about the market and all that.
If I imagine a scenario that brings us to very high prices this calendar year, it would probably be because some massive liquidity unlock happened. Like, let's say the U.S. bond market broke, the Fed came in and basically did yield curve control, or kind of QE that they don't really want to be doing, or some sort of big treasury operation twist sort of thing. It would probably take something like that combined with some sort of de-escalation of tariffs. So I never really rule out what Bitcoin's doing. I look at a couple of things. One is I think liquidity is probably going to be somewhat favorable for the rest of the year. And two, if you look at certain valuation metrics, I like to look at the market cap to realized cap ratio, which is market capitalization compared to the average on-chain cost basis. And this current consolidation has taken off a lot of the hype around it. So if you look at the prior consolidation, so Bitcoin reached 73,000 in March 2024. that ratio got a little bit elevated. So it wasn't elevated to the point of like prior like multi-year tops, but it was a little bit heated. And so after about a 7-month consolidation, it pretty much worked off all of that excessive valuation, that excessive hype, kind of allowed the market to consolidate. Then when it jumped to like 108K, it kind of reached similar frothy levels. And so the fact that we've been consolidating for several months, not particularly surprising. I think we've worked off a lot of that valuation already. So I think we're at a pretty strong foundation to at least start building from, especially once we get past maybe near-term stock market shocks and things like that.
That's right.
Interesting stuff. Here's Mark Carney about redoing the structure of the underlying system.
Need to be thinking about the structure of the underlying system. And then the third thing, which is much more speculative and longer term, but when you change when you move from one reserve currency to another, look, it's a multipolar world. It would be better to have a multipolar system, is the bottom line. Multipolar systems are not sustainable in general in markets, but they are, the nature of payments is such that you can, for certain blocks of the economy, create a multipolar payment system. It's a topic for a whole other discussion. It's hard to get it into a soundbite, but it's that kind of thinking that we need to be doing as the central banks and authorities, in my view.
Boy, that language sure does sound familiar. What could he be talking about? And now we have the Bitcoiners. They have completely jumped the shark now. They're encouraging people to now go into debt to buy one of the riskiest assets on earth, Bitcoin. I wouldn't recommend anybody going into debt to buy crypto, period, including XRP. That is the last thing anybody should do. People can get smoked doing that. It's a horrible concept.
There's been a lot of talk recently about the idea of bit bonds, government-issued bonds designed to accumulate Bitcoin while lowering borrowing costs, from people across the Bitcoin community, including myself. Most discussions have focused on convincing the US government to issue them. Meanwhile, companies like MicroStrategy have already issued convertible notes and now a new form of preferred equity, both effectively types of fixed income instruments to accumulate more Bitcoin. But there's another massive group of entities that could have an even bigger impact. Sovereign nations that are already capable of issuing large amounts of debt. This brings us to the idea of a speculative attack, a concept made popular in the Bitcoin community by Pierre Rochard, founder of the Bitcoin Bond Company.
This is insane.
Pierre defines a speculative attack as borrowing a weak currency, like the dollar, to buy a strong currency, like Bitcoin. Since fiat currencies are debt-based, the act of borrowing dollars creates additional supply, weakening the dollar, while the simultaneous buying of Bitcoin makes Bitcoin scarcer. It's a positive feedback loop. The nations best positioned to do this are developed countries that already issue large amounts of dollar-denominated debt. Two strong candidates are Saudi Arabia and the U.S.
I thought these guys had lost the plot when they were talking about replacing U.S. gold with Bitcoin. The links of this Ponzi scheme have no bounds. There is no boundaries for these people, and it's irresponsible and it's crazy. It's so many things that aren't right. I don't care what anybody tells you. Don't go into debt and don't leverage to buy crypto, period. No matter what. And also don't do this. Meme coins are not the way, folks. Cartoon monkeys are not the way. If the digital asset you're looking at does not have real world utility, move along. And I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you, this is a game of musical chairs, and a lot of people are not going to have a chair when the music stops.
It's really ridiculous, and I'm more blown about the fact that I wasted 3 months trying to build on this chain, and now there's just no trust. How can anyone trust a team that is so naive to do something like this? I mean, you guys just vaporized $15 million at least.
Well, hey Adam, thanks for sharing, and thanks for building on base.
Well, not anymore. That's the point.
We're excited about continuing to build with you, but also if you say, hey, I want to go build somewhere
Jesse,
else,
have you been listening to him?
So these guys are getting pissed. Okay, We're going to go in the group. Go to daixrp.com to join through the Patreon. Go to click the join button below any of my YouTube videos if you'd rather join through YouTube. We're going to talk about XRP supply shock. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. XRP supply shock. Here we go.